Once you've decided to go back to work, talk to your employer about a phased return. And this may be that you reduce your hours for a month or a couple of months, just so that you get your confidence back, that you're not feeling overwhelmed and you're not tired.
I broached with my employer about wanting to come back to work by asking them if we could arrange a meeting for me to go back and discuss a phased return, and also to explain what my limitations were.
An occupational therapist can help get the ball rolling to get you back to work. Your GP may be able to write to your employer just explaining about your stroke or about your progress. Your physiotherapist may be able to talk to your employer about any equipment needs that you have, the accessibility of the building. Do you need a particular chair now? So there are many people out there who can help you.
I spoke to my consultant, I spoke to my GP. My GP and my consultant thought it was a good thing, I just wanted to get back, and I think they saw my goals as goals that I needed to achieve to help with my rehabilitation, and they were more than happy to help me get there.
You may find that your occupational therapist undertakes what's called a fit for work assessment. They will work with you to make sure that you are fit to return to your job. A disability employment advisor at the job centre may also do this, and if you work for a large company, they may refer you to their occupational health department and they would undertake this assessment with you.
So the assessments that I did with the occupational therapist was trying to simulate a working environment, which wasn't that easy, but it was having the radio on as background noise, the television as background noise, doing worksheets, doing work on my computer, and also discussing concerns that I'd got with regards to going back to work and how I would address those.
It's really important to talk to your employer and keep them informed of your progress following a stroke, and to set about to start planning a return to work plan. And what this is, it can be written down, it can be put in an email, it can be as informal or formal as you like. It basically is a plan that charts and sets out your return to work, what support that you need and how this will be delivered to you.
When I returned to work, I went back in a different role. It was the same role, it was in photographic, but it was just the lighter end, being a newspaper that's been around for many, many years. We've built up an archive of negatives. My job was to sort them, scan them, and put them on the system. It was just an easier introduction back into the workplace.
I returned to the same office. I was allowed to get used to the environment and just given small tasks like filing and just getting used to being back on the computer. The phased return has worked. It's helped me to get used to the office environment and allowed me to pace myself and gradually build up my stamina.
A reasonable adjustment is a change to the workplace or the work that a disabled person does that will assist them to stay in work. Under the law, the Equality Act 2010, employers have a duty to support disabled employees return to work.
I was very fortunate that the company I worked for, they assisted me in everything, from making sure my workstation was as it needed to be, or that my seat was in the right place, or that I had lift to get from there to there, and I was looked after.
They don't have to be expensive or complicated. They're really ways to look at all the effects of a stroke and to address them and support someone to give them the best chance to stay in work.
My love was photography. I'd been a magazine photographer. I'd done press, I'd done PR, but magazines was my forte. It's where I liked being, and I'd gone in to see the MD and the editor and said, look, I want to become a photographer again. And there was a bit, you don't rush this, no. And I said, look, I go to physio, I've learned to stand without falling over as long as I don't try to move. And I think that if adaptations could be done, I could actually undertake my job as a photographer.
It can be really useful to look at someone's job description in creating a return to work plan to basically understand what tasks somebody can do and amending them, looking at someone's targets and amending those, perhaps reducing them for a period of time.
He will ask me on a daily basis just generally how I am, how is it been today, but we do tend to have a catch up every week to discuss the following week, because they are taking it on that basis of a rolling progress.
Having a work shadowing opportunity or a buddy to support someone to build up their confidence following a stroke. It could also be that somebody is given flexible locations so they can work from home or another location, at least for the time immediately following the stroke or when they first get back to work.
And they were very open-minded, and they said, well, okay, we'll take a look at this. And they arranged for me to see a independent doctor. He could see how driven I was, and he said, I can't say no to you. And that's the report that he gave to my employer. And my employer took it on board, and they said, right, okay, the doctor said, you can do this, but you can only do a certain amount of assignments a day. And I became a photographer again.